Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Travel Coach Network podcast. It is I, Sahar Rosabor, the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network and the creator and instructor of the Travel Coach Certification Program. Today, we have two special guests. Welcome to today's episode where we're going to explore luxury travel with Angie Rice and Janet Semenova, the co-founders of Boutique Travel Advisors. Angie specializes in crafting unforgettable journeys for first-time visitors, leveraging her background as a CPA to create multi-year travel plans with financial foresight. She personally vets luxury hotels and experiences with expertise spanning European escapes, safaris, and multi-generational travel. Janet was born in Uzbekistan and is fluent in Russian. She is passionate about transformative, off-the-beaten-path experiences. As a former nurse practitioner and health coach, she curates wellness retreats and responsible travel experiences in destinations like Iceland, Patagonia, and Portugal. Together, Angie and Janet bring a wealth of expertise and a personal touch to luxury travel. Angie and Janet, thank you so much for joining me on the TCM podcast today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, well, before we dive into the meat of today's episode and all about BTA and the news that you have for us, first tell me more about yourselves and what got you into the world of travel. Go first, Angie.
All right, I'll go first. Well, really, it happened to be a time in my profession. I was working as a strategist, financial consultant, and I was looking to probably retire early or knowing that I just enjoyed professionalism, work. I really looked more towards recareering and finding a new occupation that allowed me to truly bring my prior professionalism into a new business. So I was looking for 2-3 years for that passion business. And coincidentally, I met Janet at a time where she was exploring a similar change in her career. And our conversation naturally discussed travel. And I'll let Janet kind of tell her story where we were able to really put our passion to travel. And we saw right away that a partnership was going to be very successful because we brought very, very different expertise to our business. You know, Janet really brought that mindfulness, the coaching, whereas I had the operational experience to really help run a business.
Well, and what about you, Janet?
Yeah, so I had been, as you mentioned, a nurse practitioner. I worked in the hospital with in pediatrics for over 15 years and loved travel. So since my kids were, I mean, literally, I think both of my kids had their passports at 4 months, and we took our first trip abroad with them when they were 4 months old. So, you know, I've always felt that having a US passport is an incredible privilege, and it gives us the opportunity to be able to explore parts of the world that, you know, a huge portion of the world doesn't have the opportunity to explore. And so having that freedom, I felt, comes with the responsibility to really educate my kids and to show them different parts of the world and to show them how other people live and to experience other cultures and to understand kind of the privileges of our own society by seeing how, you know, parts of the world that don't have those same privileges. So we've always traveled with them and we've always done off the beaten path travel. I think we were doing transformational travel before I'd ever heard the term transformational travel. You know, that's just my natural way of exploring the world. And, you know, I met a travel advisor very coincidentally in a remote part of Costa Rica in the Osa Peninsula. And I had never met a travel advisor before. I didn't know anybody that was a travel advisor. And she was, you know, we were talking about what we did. And she says, yeah, I plan travel for people. I'm like, wait, you can do that as a job, as a career? That's a thing? I didn't know. Had no idea. I'd never met anyone who did that before. And it just sparked this curiosity in me to really discover this as a potential profession. And then when Angie and I were talking about, you know, being at a stage in our life where we were exploring like potential other things that we could do and outlets for our creativity and, you know, long-term emotional and physical wellness and all these things, we thought, oh my gosh, we need to do this together. We need to start a travel company together.
I love that. I love that well, a couple things I love here. first your kids had passports since they're 4 months old. I need to get on that for my son. And then that you brought up transformative travel. Would Janet, is there an experience or trip that, I know this is gonna be really hard because you've traveled a lot, but that made a really big impact on you, or maybe you say transformed you in some way?
I mean, I think going all the way back to being young, I think my first, truly transformative experience was visiting Honduras when I was probably in my early 20s. And it just all of a sudden, as you're asking this question, I have this memory of being in Honduras and seeing, and we were in Roatan and just experiencing the discrepancies between the haves of the world and the have-nots of the world, and seeing the kids who were barefoot and seeing, just the discrepancy and the poverty on the one side, and then the wealth and, privilege on the other side of us travelers. I think that really got to me, and it stayed with me for a really long time, and it made me really think about how we travel and the impact that our travel has. And I've always felt really strongly that we should give more than we take from any destination that we visit. And so I think from that early moment in my early 20s, I think I just had this understanding that as travelers, we have a responsibility to the destinations that we visit. We have a responsibility to the people who live in the destinations that we visit, and I think now there's a lot of conversation around, responsible travel and sustainable travel, and also over tourism, and so I think all of those concepts, I hadn't really formulated them at the time, but it really got me thinking about that, because I think it's vital for us to have those conversations. I don't think that we can just send people anywhere in the world and expect that, as Americans, just because we're paying a lot of money to be there, that we have some sort of a right to behave in certain ways, or that we have a right to take from the destination. I think it's our responsibility to give back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Sounds like you also were tuned into responsible tourism before that became a thing as well too. And I love that you know, we're gonna put the connection with travel coaching here as well, but I feel like that's another thing too. But Angie, what about you? Is there an experience or a trip that made a really big impact on you in your life in some way?
Yeah, similarly to Janet, I felt that transformation was part of my childhood. And we would travel with my dad, who just had a deep love for the sea. And we would go to very, very remote places in Costa Rica, Caribbean islands. Like we discovered Turks and Caicos, I think 40 years ago. So now it's a luxury destination. And what was great about that, there wasn't as much infrastructure, which gave us the opportunity to really meet and engage with locals. And I try to do that as much as possible with my own family. And there is some intimidation by all means when my son and I and my two sons and my mom, when we traveled together, we went to Belize and we had a driver and a tour guide. And we really wanted to focus on the local immersiveness. And they ended up inviting us over for dinner. My kids played soccer with his child. And those types of experiences, we try to weave that into itineraries as best as we can. But it takes a little coaching to encourage clients to do those things. And I think that's where BTA's advisory services with an extended service line that includes coaching for our clients is going to be value added. When Janet and I first started Boutique Travel Advisors, it was BTA, but it was Boutique Transformative Adventures. And we realized that it wasn't going to be as marketable at that point in time because we needed the balance. We needed to be able to reach those luxury full service clients to be a sustainable business. But our passion, the underlying passion of BTA involves giving back, being authentic and sustainable. And so we've always really maintained those roots. So this is a really exciting opportunity for us to bring more of that advisory consultancy into BTA.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the coaching aspect because that's so true. Just because someone travels doesn't mean that they know if you plan a trip for someone, you create itineraries for someone, doesn't mean that, they could reap all the benefits of what we call, a meaningful experience or transformative experience, which is, these are buzzwords these days. What does that really mean for your ideal client? And that's where the coaching comes into play. So can you share, and this is the whole point of our partnership with BTA and the TCN, is that we found alignment in what you guys were trying to do and what we do in the Travel Coach Network. So can you share what encouraged or what inspired BTA to start thinking about travel coaching as a whole? Because that's not the usual when it comes to a travel agency.
Yeah, it really was obviously something that we envisioned offering when we started our business. But quite frankly, it was a little more challenging to monetize. People that wanted to work with an agency when we launched in 2017, they wanted full service. And there was this focus on really onboarding clients that would allow us to be sustainable as a business. And so we knew that that was going to be our driver. We're an agency similar like coaches where we are a fee-based agency because there's so much that goes into the researching and the planning of a trip. And at the same time, we're balancing the benefits of a company that offers luxury travel with still allowing for that transformational component to be part of our business. And we were struggling trying to offer both. And sometimes we were attracting clients that didn't necessarily want the transformation, right? But they were still good for our business. And then we also had a pain point where we had advisors that were more focused on the advisory services, right? Curating the trip and wanting to plan it, work with our supplier partners, and be more involved in the booking and the advisory services rather than coaching a client to experience something for the first time or to allow for change to occur and be part of their curriculum, or bringing an expertise into the equation, whether that's someone with a meditation background or it's someone who's going to use travel as a way to overcome, depression or a loss. And I think that coaches really are probably more likely have an expertise that complements the coaching and the travel component, right? So for us, we started to see that we had clients that wanted the coaching, and then our business had grown, and we had attracted advisors that at that point in time, we needed to find a new type of professional. And that's where Julie Rose, our initial travel coach, came on board because she had that mindset. She really understood no-man travel. She understood solo traveling, really authentic, off the beaten travel. And that allowed us to say, okay, we had this aha moment. We've got to call it something different. And that's where we started offering two-tiered services, that being the travel advisory services, our traditional full service advisory. And then we moved into the travel coaching with the ability to have flexibility as to what does that travel coaching mean to the coach that's able to offer it. And in return, what is the client looking for? And so we hope that with our travel coaching program, there's going to be diversity so that we can solve more problems for more travelers and allow for more travel coaches to be successful.
Yeah, you're spot on with the diversity in there. Travel coaches in the Travel Coach Network focus in so many different niches, meaning that there's so many different types of ideal clients out there. And why? It's because, we all travel for a different reason. And every time that we travel, we're a different person. So maybe a travel coach or a client would work with one type of travel coach at one point in their life, and then a different type of travel coach at a different point in their life, right? But Janet, for you, with your background in health, can you share how wellness travel coaching can be integrated into deepening these experiences for clients?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because I think, working as a nurse practitioner, we did coaching, and I worked in pain management, which is a really unique, very specialized field that has a huge mindset component. So when you're dealing with especially with kids who have chronic pain, specifically, you're dealing with lifestyle changes that need to happen. You're dealing with mindset changes that need to happen. One of the things that we prescribe to our patients in our pain clinic was physical therapy and therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, to kind of And then we did a lot of breathing components. We did a lot of mindset work. We did so many things that, active listening, empathy and compassion, truly understanding the connection between your mental pain and your physical pain. And that's coaching, even though we didn't really call it coaching at the time. We just called it, pain management, and good healthcare and good medicine is kind of, integrative medicine when that was first starting out, and so I think we were early on kind of at that forefront in our pain management system, in the way which has now really been embraced in the adult world as well. And it dawned on me when we talked to a lot of our clients about, well, why are you taking this trip? That was always how we started from day one, because that's how we traveled. What is the purpose of your trip? Well, it's my kid's spring break. I know, but why? Why this type of vacation? Why this type of trip? Why do you want to go to this destination? Is it just because you saw it in a magazine? Is this really the right destination for you? And I think the components of health coaching and coaching in general, and I was a certified health coach for many years, was communication and active listening, the meaning behind what people are actually saying. And then accountability, holding people accountable for their actions and their choices, and then empathy and compassion, non-judgmental environment, providing support and well-being. I think all of these things really tie into being a very, very good travel advisor, and understanding that everyone's purpose is different and everyone's goals might be different, and aligning those goals with the destination and how you travel and what you get back from travel, and then following up and discussing, like, well, what made this trip work? What was the biggest takeaway? What was your best memory from this trip? And then the next trip that we plan, you have more intention. And so as Angie said, originally we wanted to call ourselves Boutique Transformative Adventures, but I think people don't really understand maybe that they need the transformation. And so we would weave that in kind of little bits, like just giving them little tidbits of transformation, of immersion, of going a little bit deeper than just like planning a vacation.
Yeah, I love that you just mentioned the kind of the foundation, the fundamentals of coaching there, because that's a huge part of what we teach in our travel coach certification program. And this is why the Travel Coach Network and the BTA, we found like it was a no-brainer for this partnership that we decided to have, because of what you guys stand for, what you believe in, and what sets BTA apart from any other travel agency out there. I know that but at the same time, with that said, I know from my background, my story always been like, I have a degree in hospitality and tourism management. I had traveled to 84 countries solo, but I struggled so much to figure out, like, what could I do with my passion for travel? Like, I want to empower people to know that travel is safe, that they can go, that look at what it can do for you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. But there wasn't a name to that. And when I came across the coaching world, when I started my own wellness travel coaching business, and then founded the Travel Coach Network. But I was someone who was not interested in the booking aspect of a trip for people. And that's what I felt like the industry always said, like, this is your list of options. If you like hospitality and tourism, like, this is all that you can do. But I always believed there was something deeper to that. And my point with all of this is that you guys, BTA, has created a solution to that, for those who are travel coaches who are like, hey, I don't maybe want to do the bookings, but yet how can I generate another revenue stream? Because in the Travel Coach Network, we are always encouraging our travel coaches to think outside the box. You can create so many different revenue streams for your business, but that's up to you to figure out, how do you want to serve your ideal clients? What does your business want to look like? And so can you now share about the BTA's Luxury Travel Club and booking platform that is revolutionizing how travel coaches and their clients experience the world?
You want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. Well, our booking engine, a lot of what we do in our agency, and Angie and I, we're like you. We think outside the box. And so we break a lot of things because we come from other industries. We see pain points and we're very solution focused, right? If something is not working, well, we have to find a solution. And sometimes the solution is outside of our industry. And sometimes the solution is not something that other people are doing. And sometimes the solution is something that other people tell us, well, you can't do that, that's wrong. And so a lot of what we have done has been a lot of trial and error, but also just coming up with innovative ways to solve pain points that we've either experienced or that we see our team experiencing. And so one of the pain points we've seen from the very beginning was in this industry was technology. And I think, there's a lot of inefficiencies. And our goal always was to serve our clients. But how do you service your clients really well when you are so bogged down with paperwork and minutia and 975 logins, and every single hotel has their own hotel program and every cruise? And I mean, there's just so much stuff to learn, and there's so many logins to keep track of. And really what happened was, and Angie and I noticed, I went into become a travel advisor very much for very similar reasons as you. I wanted to help people have these transformative experiences and teach people you can travel internationally with your kids even if they're little. You can go abroad. You can go to developing countries. It is safe. People are kind. People are generous. You can do all of these amazing things. Let me help you do them. And then what I found was, oh my God, I'm spending so much of my time, instead of coaching and helping people really plan the trip, documenting, booking, logging into websites, and that is not what my happy place. And so we noticed our other advisors had similar pain points. So we wanted to find a better solution, for example, for booking hotels, for searching for things, to really free up time to create more time with your clients. And we didn't have a solution that we liked. So we tried a lot of different systems and softwares. And one of the things we really wanted was a booking engine where we could have our curated collection of hotels, our curated collection of villas, our curated collection of our favorite partners that we like working with in one place. So our advisors could quickly and easily access them and be able to contact them and not have to look at 17 different websites to find out how to book it, and just do it all in one place. And so we started developing our own booking engine. And in the process of developing our booking engine, we realized it has actually a lot of other potential to solve pain points that we weren't really thinking of solving initially, because, we started it to solve one pain point, and then we realized, oh my gosh, it's actually solving all these other pain points. And there's a lot of potential. We're always looking to give back to the industry, to give back to other people, to encourage other people to create revenue streams. I think in this industry, especially, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I'm probably not going to be super popular for saying that, but there's a lot of people that are luxury travel advisors that are not generating an income that is sustainable for supporting yourself on a full-time basis. If you have a partner that has a really good job and you can do this part-time, it's a great adjunct revenue source. For some people, it's a great, income source to just kind of compensate, maybe, or to give them extra spending money and to give them travel opportunities. But there's a small percentage of this industry, in the travel advisory industry, that's generating a sufficient income to be able to, keep up with inflation and to be able to pay rent and to be able to really have, enough of a revenue source. So we recognize that we can help other people create revenue streams in a way that helps them become better travel advisors. And then it also goes to travel coaches, and help people monetize on things that they're already doing, so that they could really dedicate themselves full-time to this industry. And if they want to become full-time coaches, or they want to become full-time advisors, but they just can't generate enough money, that maybe we can help them do that.
Yeah, do you want to expand on any of that, Angie, and share how, for those listeners who are like, okay, I can see how this benefits a travel advisor, but well, hey, tell me how this actually benefits me as a travel coach.
Right, right. Well, travel advisors, and as Janet indicated, like it's a unique methodology to be compensated, because not all travel advisors charge planning fees to allow for that upfront. And even those agencies that do charge service fees, a high percentage of their revenue is still a result of shared partnership payments from our suppliers, which often referred to as commissions. And so if you're booking travel, typically you're planning travel 6 to 9 months before travel. You're not going to receive that compensation until post travel for the most part. And so that's a barrier to entry for those that really need a set income from travel. And on the flip side, where travel coaches are building income streams based on travel services, coaching, whether it's individual or small group, or maybe there's other, revenue streams because they have a sense of community. I think that this gives coaches the opportunity to leverage the services that they offer their clients in a way that's successful due to the fact that Boutique Travel Advisors has innovated and provided revenue streams that rely on the technology and simplifies the process of procuring the booking process. In addition to that, we have a way to collaborate between coaches and advisors. And I think the collaboration can go in both directions. Travel advisors who have a client that needs more coaching, that needs a destination expertise beyond that of the travel advisor. So we see these experts being tour guides that want to coach about their destination. We see coaches that offer the wellness component, the ability for someone to say, I've gone through something tragic in my life and I want this opportunity to travel and to combine some of that coaching and that expertise of a certain coach as part of the itinerary and part of the process. And if these coaches don't want to book the travel, it's an opportunity to service their client, prepare a roadmap and a plan, and even maybe sketch the itinerary, but then to refer that client to a BTA travel advisor who can do the trip planning. So it's a lot of opportunities for coaches to become advisors, advisors to become coaches, or for an advisor to stay in the advisory lane and the coach to stay in the coaching lane. So I think it's really going to allow for greater expertise within a close environment, a community. Travel coaches attract clients because they're creating a community. We want Boutique Travel Advisors as an agency to be a community for coaches, for clients, and our existing team. So for us, we feel that the technology is the driving force that's going to make it successful, but it's that focus on community, that focus on intentional servicing, to take pride and joy in servicing clients.
Yeah, I love this because it's been kind of like I don't want to call it a pain point, but a desire within my travel coaches who, when you're just a travel, not just a travel coach, but like when you're just a travel coach and you're not a travel advisor, is what I meant by that, is that, and you work with a client and you're helping them through this incredible time, whether it's something that is deep and personal, or if it's something fun and family related, whatever it might be, that they're coaching someone with. And then they get to the end. And oftentimes there's that opportunity left on the table of one, revenue streams, and two, where do you send if you don't do the booking for your clients, like what do? Do you just recommend like, hey, go check out all these websites, and and then that can lead to overwhelm and people getting lost because they're not travel experts themselves. And this is solving that problem. It's providing a new revenue stream for travel coaches, for those who are not interested in doing the bookings themselves. And they know they can trust that this is a kind of a database of, hand selected experiences and
Exactly.
destinations and hotels. And can you share more about what exactly is in, I don't know if you want to call it a database.
Glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that point up, because that's really the missing key that ties all of this together. We have over the years, so we belong to a consortium, Virtuoso Travel. We also have our BTA preferred partners that we have worked with for many, many years that are hand selected, and they're vetted by us, by our clients, by our other advisors. And we know that they're ethical, they're trustworthy, they share our core values and our mission. They give back to the communities in which they live. The money is for us, one of the biggest things, at least I'll speak for myself, is I want to work with companies in in destination that reinvest in their local communities. I, as much as possible, love working with local boutique family-owned hotels if we can. I love working with guides who live in the destination in which they're guiding, who have a vested interest in creating authentic experiences that give back to the destination, that reinvest the money into their local communities. And so we've curated that collection. And within our hotel portfolio, we have a very selected hotel portfolio. We love the Forbes Travel Guide, for example. So we have the Forbes Travel Guide hotels in there. But we also have hotels that are part of the small luxury hotel collection, hotels that are part of the Virtuoso network. And we're adding hand-selected properties in there that, again, we know that we can trust and that we know will take excellent care of our travelers. And in return, these properties give our clients extra amenities. They give them, things like spa credits. They give them things like, maybe resort credits and breakfast and upgrades. But it's so much more than just the amenity. It's the relationship behind that amenity. It's the relationship behind the booking that allows us on the back end, behind the scenes. Our clients don't even know it's happening, of us reaching out and contacting the GM of the property, for example, and letting them know, hey, our clients are going to be there. Can you just do something a little bit special? Just a teeny tiny extra touch that will make them feel really, really welcome. And here's a little bit about these clients. Here's a little bit about why they're traveling. Here's what brings them to your hotel and why we selected your property for them. When they have that information, the overall experience before the client even arrives is already elevated. And once they arrive, the experience the client has is so much better. It's so much more intimate. It's so much more authentic. And the client doesn't even really know why that's happening to them. They're just living through it. But that's the behind the scenes component that ties it all together, that enables that transformative experience, because the property and the guides and everyone before the client ever arrives is already invested in their trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up the word vetted. So I know that you guys vet your properties and your experiences and everything that is on your platform. And that's one of the reasons I know that you guys came to the Travel Coach Network, is because we are the importance of a certification, right? And so can you share more about that importance for the travel coaches who are going to be a part of your platform, why you came to the TCN for the certified travel coaches?
Obviously, it's if you're researching this industry, right? So those watching or listening, it has changed. There's been a lot of evolution. A lot of it was a result of the post-pandemic. There's just in Arizona, for example, other states, we're headquartered here. We're seeing an influx of travel advisors. And quite frankly, for some agencies and some people in the industry, there's some concern, because are we onboarding so many advisors where it's going to be very challenging for the industry to maintain credibility? Are these advisors who are entering the travel community, are they experienced? And what are they bringing to the industry and the profession? There aren't a lot of credentials in travel advisory services. There's a lot of travel agencies where you can join without any experience and immediately start planning travel. And my concern is that clients are going to work with advisors who don't have mentorship, who don't have experience. Perhaps they're not aware of how best to vet suppliers. And as a result of that, travelers are going to have perhaps a negative experience with a travel agency that could be a bad reflection for the entire industry. And at the same time, I feel like we're creating a way for people to become travel advisors for the sake of the travel benefits, to be part of this community without necessarily adding new revenue stream, but more or less doing it as a hobby. And that really concerns us because the travel industry is very supportive. It's relationship based. And there's opportunities and benefits to being a travel advisor or being a travel coach that's affiliated with an agency, because they want you to learn their destinations. They want you to be a professional. They will invite you to their destination, and you will experience these wonderful ways to then service clients and be better educated with that firsthand experience. However, if those experiences are being given to people who aren't building a network, who aren't prospecting, who are not providing a return on investment to the suppliers that are supporting their trips, it's not good for the industry. And we're making, our requirements internally more adhesive. And we're requiring our advisors, whether they're new to travel or whether they're experienced, to go through boutique travel advisors training, as well as be dialed into ASTA, Virtuoso. There's a lot of trainings available, and you have to really understand the client journey. So for us to really build our travel coaching program, it was really important for us to partner with TCN, and we've researched you, Sahara, over the years, and then to really be putting this full circle is pretty exciting. So it allows us to know that there's a baseline education that advisor brings, or coach brings, to the BTA community when they join our agency and are given the resources and platforms to then better support their clients, to the extent that they have clients that could really utilize the resources, so that they're not left alone after the coaching when it's time to really take that trip and to experience the journey.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
vetting them for our suppliers as well, saying, hey, this is a travel coach booking, but this travel coach is extremely vetted, and this travel coach is educated, and this travel coach has credentials. Angie and I come from industries where credentialing it's not optional. Like, you take board exams, you study for them, you have licensure, you renew every year, you can be reported to the board and they can take your license. I mean, I still have my nurse practitioner license. I just recertified. I mean, it was like 50 hours of continuing education every single year. And it's extremely specific and very regulated. And I think that this industry, which is so welcoming and so generous and so kind, lends itself a little bit to being taken advantage of by certain people, maybe even unwittingly, people thinking like, oh, I can just become a travel advisor, and this host agency says all I need to do is sign up and do a 2-hour training course, and here I am, a travel advisor. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients. I mean, as travel advisors, but also as travel coaches, we have an ethical responsibility. You cannot just go out there and pretend to be a therapist. You can be a really good friend, but that doesn't mean you're a therapist, right? You're not going to go out there and be like, I can give you therapy and I can guide you through your marital problems without having any sort of education or certification. I think that that's the same thing with coaching. I mean, I think you have to have a sort of a baseline vetted program that you say, I've completed this program. I have training. I've had mentorship. Here's how many years of experience I have. Here's what I bring to the table. By the way, here's my destination knowledge, or my knowledge in health and wellness, or whatever the background of the coaches are. It's similar. And I think, for us to have coaches within BTA, we want them to be certified and credentialed. We don't want them to just say, I'm a travel coach. I'm well-traveled. I've been to 50 countries. That means I'm just a travel coach. No, you're just a really well-traveled individual. Now,
Yeah.
you're a great candidate to become a travel coach, but until you've gone through additional training, you're not a coach. I'm a really empathetic person, and I can get splinters out of my kids. That doesn't make me a nurse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's, people ask me all the time, like, why did I go the route of a certification? And it's because exactly that. It's like the coaching industry, just like the travel advisor industry, there's a lot of murky waters out there. There's a lot, it's kind of the wild, wild west, right? So I wanted to, and I chose, there's a hand, there are not too many, but there was a handful of organizations I could have gotten accredited through that could have cost me a lot less money and a lot less time to be able to do that. But I went with the International Coach Federation, ICF, because it is known for its gold standards in the coaching industry. So every single year, it costs me a pretty penny and a pretty amount of time to reaccredit my program every single year. And I do that because I want the best for my travel coaches. And I want, as we build the travel coaching industry and pioneer this path for travel coaches around the globe, I want them to feel confident with the education, the training, and the certification that they get. And it's just not, oh, I went through this course and I'm certified. But with all that said, we have a really exciting event happening on March 11th. So if for those who are listening to this podcast episode before March 11th, please come and join us. You're going to learn a lot more details about BTA themselves, as well as their new booking platform. And as for travel coaches, this is something you should be listening to. This is something you should be attending, because I talk about all the time, diverse your revenue streams. Why would you not? There's so many different ways that you can serve your ideal clients, and why not at least have the knowledge of what options are out there? Because transformation isn't just telling someone where to go and how to go on a trip, and it's not just booking a trip for someone and planning an itinerary. It's a journey. So how can you be a part of that entire journey for your clients? And this is one way to be able to do that. So the BTA and TCN, we're doing a webinar on March 11th. We're also going to be revealing a really special promotion offer. So if you are a travel coach already in the TCN, we have something for you. And if you've been on the fence and you're learning about travel coaching right now and you're like, maybe I want to join the certification program, not quite sure, we also have an offer for you too. So the link for that will be dropped in the show notes. And if you're listening to this episode after March 11th, the replay and all the information will be also in the show notes for you as well. Any last words, Angie or Janet?
I'll borrow from what you said, Sahara. You said you want to better serve your travel coaches. And we too want to look for opportunities to better serve the travel industry. And that includes better serving our clients and better serving our coaches and our advisors, and being a better advocate for transformational travel. And we believe that in order to do that, we really have to provide the infrastructure for coaches and advisors to properly run their business. There are a lot of moving parts. You're not just coaching. You're not just offering client services. You have to market and sell your business. You have to build community, network, sustainability. You have to be able to understand the finances of your business. What is it costing you versus what are your revenue goals, and are those achievable? So we feel that my background in analytics, combined with your certification and Janet's technology, what she's done in technology with a non-technology background, combined with her natural ability to train and coach, really creates a trifecta for those that want to get into this industry, or who are in this industry and need to parlay their business in a different way.
Absolutely. So my favorite question of every episode is there a fun fact about yourself that you can share with our listeners? And it doesn't have to be business or travel related. And Angie, if you want to start.
Sure. I would say a fun fact about me is that I come from a really big family. And I think it's a fun fact because I think it's probably one of my best attributes, because brothers, sisters, my parents, lots of aunts and uncles, we were a close-knit Italian family growing up. And it really allows me to understand the consumer and to have empathy for employees, for our partners in business. And as much as there's avatars for clients, just as an example, there's avatars for the advisor and the coach. And it's really our job to create those relationships and really be focused on human connection. So I'm just rooted, my family background, I think, is a big part of me. And having 5 brothers and sisters, we just have a lot of storytelling. And so I think that's a fun fact about me.
It's the opposite of me. I'm an only child.
Me too, Sahara. I know. That's like, I always had FOMO. I always used to watch Full House as a kid and wish that was me. Like, that was like my dream as a child, that somehow I would end up getting like 4 siblings. Okay, but my fun fact is totally not like Angie's. I love scuba diving. It's one of my all-time favorite activities. And so me and my husband and our kids are all have our advanced certifications. Again, back to certifications. Can't just, say you're a scuba diver and go out there and not have a scuba diving certificate. And I love scuba diving. So one of my dreams is to scuba dive on all 7 continents. And Antarctica might be a little tough I've hit a few already, but yeah, I love scuba diving. So that's like my happy place is underwater.
Is there a destination in particular that just blew you away?
I mean, I think the Great Barrier Reef in Australia was unbelievable. Belize, I scuba dived in Belize. That was pretty incredible as well. We scuba dived in Indonesia and in Thailand. I mean, really, I don't think I've ever really had a bad scuba experience. You know,
Right.
the in Silfra in Iceland, you can scuba dive or snorkel between two tectonic plates between the two continents. So you're literally scuba diving between two continents. Yeah, it's just such a unique experience and I just love it. So if
It sounds
anybody ever wants to talk about scuba diving, hit me up.
that looks magical. I've seen videos of in Iceland. I'm like, and how clear the water is, like it's right up my alley. I'm not a scuba diver,
You can
certified, not
snorkel there
certified.
too.
Yeah, I've done definitely some snorkeling, but that looks so cool. Well, Angie and Janet, thank you so much for joining us on the TCN podcast today.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah,
And
everyone,
we
be
look
sure.
forward.
What's that?
We look forward to our webinar where we'll reveal a lot more exciting things.
Yeah, come hang out with us, everyone. It's going to be a really great time. Come connect with other travel advisors and travel coaches on it as well too. So everyone, be sure to follow us on the Travel Coach Network on Instagram and come give us a hello in our TCN Global Community on Facebook. Visit us at thetravelcoachnetwork.com. You'll find the links for all of those as well as the free beginner's guide to travel coaching in our show notes. If you know anyone who may be interested in travel coaching, please be sure to send them our way. We would truly appreciate that. And until next time, my fellow wanderers, bye for now.
Bye-bye.